This is the Xbox Series X. It is real and I have it in my hands right now. Don't believe me? Well, let me show you. So first of all, Microsoft were very kind to invite us out for a very early look at the Series X. Now keep in mind that this is not final hardware. I mean, this won't be shipping until almost the end of the year. However, it is definitely going to be our best look at what the next generation of console experience can really provide.
In this video, not only am I giving you a sneak peek at what's inside the Series X, but on top of that we have gameplay and pretty much every spec you might want to know.
So today is a very good day because I can actually walk you through exactly what is inside the Xbox Series X. So to start with, we have to look at the main board, or specifically the dual main boards. Because of the unique design of the Series X, it actually has a very unusual cooling system. One of the things I'm most excited about is just how powerful the SoC inside the Series X is. So there's a lot to talk about here, but first I want to go over the actual CPU spec. So keep in mind, this is an SoC that has not only the CPU and the GPU on board, and yet they're able to fit 8 Zen 2 cores that can clock all the way up to 3.8 gigahertz. And that's not some kind of like boost speed. It can run at 3.8 gigahertz sustained pretty much forever. And you have a couple of options if you're a developer with this guy. So if you want multi-threading, you actually have to drop from 3.8 to 3.6 gigahertz. But a lot of developers are probably going to be fine with 8 very fast cores on board. Now, when it actually comes to games, 7 of those cores are available to a game, and 1 is reserved for like Windows and the OS in the background. But that's a lot of power, especially considering that most of this chip is actually graphics. They just threw in 8 cores because it's much better than the previous generation. And by much better, I mean like 4 times better. On top of that, we have some seriously powerful graphics. So on board, we have twice the graphics horsepower of the Xbox One X, which I would just keep in mind only came out a couple years ago, or like 2.5 years ago at this point. And beyond that, we also have 8 times the graphics horsepower of the original Xbox One. And there are a couple of really interesting things here. So first of all, this is taking advantage of AMD's brand new RDNA 2.0 architecture, which is not even out on the PC yet. There's a lot that comes with that, and there are also some customizations that Microsoft has done specifically for the Series X. So for example, there is not only ray tracing built in, but also there's like some specific hardware and audio engines that have been built into the chip. But the GPU itself is massive. We're looking at 52 CUs running at 1825 megahertz. Now, if you're not a speeds and feeds kind of person, that might not mean anything, but this is an incredibly huge graphics card, or GPU, I suppose, and it is running at very, very high clocks. So with the Series X dev kit here, the first game I'm going to try is Minecraft. Now, this is no ordinary version of Minecraft. This is, to be fair, a very early technical demo, but this is incorporating ray tracing. So you can see, standard lighting, looks like Minecraft as you expect. However, if I turn it on, the game is completely transformed. I mean, can you see the difference here? That's crazy. You can even see how the lava is like reflecting on the actual material of the rails. Oh, this is a really squeaky chair. How annoying is that when I shouldn't get up, huh? Not only is the lighting completely transformed, but you actually can see some real depth in the world that obviously when you have ray tracing off, it's fine. It's sort of very brightly lit as you're expecting with Minecraft. When you turn it on, it makes a huge difference. I mean, just look at the way that the torch is naturally reflecting. And you actually can see how there's real texture and there's real depth in the gold. And if you look on this side, you can see the diamond here. It's really cool at how much this sort of brings the Minecraft world alive.
Next, I have some gameplay of Gears 5 running on the Xbox Series X. Now, this is a very early build. It only took them a few weeks to get this up and running, and therefore probably some other things are going to be tweaked and changed before it finally comes out. However, a couple of key things to keep in mind is that not only is this running at 4K 60 with all of the Ultra PC presets enabled, they've even added some additional settings that were not even able to run on the PC or the Xbox One X. So sit back, grab your popcorn, and enjoy some true Series X gameplay.
Okay, now, open fire! No, we got that! Close the strike! Close it up! Got it!
Feeding the SoC is a full 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory, which you actually can see is arranged around the chip like this. So it's actually a slightly unusual configuration. So Microsoft are taking advantage of a 320-bit memory bus, and that's because there's a mixture of 1 gig and 2 gig modules. Now, as the end user, you're probably not going to notice any of this, but as a developer, you actually have two classes of memory available. So there's 10 gigs of GPU optimized memory, which is essentially the fastest RAM for obviously the graphics. However, you also have a further 3.5 gigs, which can be played with. It's slightly slower, but if you have to offload like your audio or something to that, you can use that. Now, it's kind of interesting to think because on top of that, you have a further 2.5 gigs of RAM, which is partitioned off for like the OS and apps and that kind of thing. Now, when you look at this, it might not actually seem super impressive, right? I mean, we've got 4 times the CPU power, we've got up to 8 times the GPU power compared to the Xbox One, but we only have about double the memory. So if you flip the board over, we'll see another major improvement, which is the standard 1 terabyte SSD. Now, this is actually a big component of why the Series X is able to be a big leap forward in a lot of ways. So of course, the previous generation was bottlenecked by fairly slow hard drives. It made sense back on the time, but in 2020, we expect more speed, and every Series X game also expects to have a SSD. So to give you a little bit of context here, we're not going to do any cuts here to show you just how fast this is. So I have a Series X controller. I'm playing on this actual Series X. So right now I have State of Decay up, or State of Decay 2 rather up. You can see it playing on the Series X works just as you would expect. However, say I want to, I don't know, play Forza. Well, if I switch over to it, you can see just how quick it's going to move. So essentially in the background, it's saving State of Decay in its own VM. So I can jump in and you look, I'm playing Forza now. It's that fast. Whoa, okay. Well, it might be that fast. I am not that fast. All right, hold on. I'm gonna actually get back on the track here. You can see Forza is running just fine. And if I want, I can jump over to say Hellblade. Again, you can see how fast it loads. In the background, it is saving my Forza game. And there we go, boom. I'm out into another game. Now the cool part about this is that this is all saved across, like even if you shut down the system or whatever, this is all going to work no matter what. And keep in mind that these games that I'm playing are not optimized at all for the Series X, right? These are just standard Xbox One games that you could play like right out of the gate. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe to the channel because there's going to be a whole lot more on the Series X coming soon.